Man West, a Commanders podcast where we tackle the latest Washington football team news and answer the hard-hitting questions like who are the best head coach options out there? I'm your host, Bradley.
I'm Tico Wells.
I'm Eddie.
Oh, you look depressed, Eddie. And I'm
Yeah,
Donnie
I'm a little
Roach.
down, just a little
We'll
down.
cover
It's a
that
new
and a lot
year.
more today.
Happy
Command
freaking
West.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2024.
2024.
Are we excited about that at all?
We're looking forward, Eddie. We're looking
We're looking
forward, not backward.
So
Looking
2023
forward.
was not the best year for the Commanders. And I mean, like, what year was in the
We got
past?
one more
I mean,
game, Bradley. We got one more
year.
game.
You
One
got
more
one more
game.
game. Should we
One more
talk a
game.
One
little
more
bit
game
about,
to.
should we talk a little bit about the 49ers game?
Oh man, Chase Young, I know, was happy.
Chase Young didn't do much. I got to
He
tell
didn't
you,
do
I expected
anything.
him to come out stronger. He like
One
had
tackle.
one tackle or something. He no sacks. But so here's what I'll say.
Maybe he's being nice.
We looked okay in the first half. I thought it was respectable in the first half. It just
Yeah.
all went down the tubes in the
You
second
guys
half.
think we held our own, or did we get lucky with a lot of little breaks? Or because the game to me looked like it was actually like we were there.
Yeah.
With
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I
Good.
thought we were handling
agree.
things for a
And then
minute.
I was surprised, obviously, because we all knew what we had in the secondary, which was nothing, and then we knew we had
Yeah.
nothing really to play with, other
Yeah.
than to maybe hurt somebody that's crucial.
You know, it's funny
It's not
because
like nobody wants to play.
it's funny because you know, there was a conversation about Brock Purdy being, you know, a MVP favorite a couple weeks ago, and it was funny because my dad was here and we were watching the game and we were arguing about it and stuff, and it made me
Disgusting.
sure it made me kind of laugh watching this game because I mean the scouting report had to tell the Niners that we had everybody hurt in our secondary. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
like we had nothing
Interesting.
going on, and they ran the ball so much. Even when the leading rusher in the NFL was out, they still ran the ball, and it was just like, yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy is great. He's better than what we have. MVP favorite? Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me? I mean, he couldn't even dissect our terrible, terrible defense, and we had our third string guys in.
It was
So-
surprising. You're right. I'm surprised they didn't pick apart the secondary more. But so that's your
You think they were
deep
maybe just-
defense.
You
That's
think
your
he got
that's your
two- he
defense
got
for that Purdy's not.
230 yards worth of average of 8.2 yards a play. I mean,
He
two
does pick up a lot
touchdowns.
of yards after catch. I will say
I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
it's a lot. Of
he had a quarterback rating of 124.
I'm
He
not
was
saying
22 for 28.
I'm not saying he didn't play well. I'm just saying that was illuminating.
Well,
It seems to me,
Yeah, I mean they only beat us 27-10. It's not like it's
I think they
incredible
were
blowout.
resting their receivers, and they wanted to see if they could polish us off with a ground game, just to get, so they knew that they could do that to a defense.
And they did because Elijah
They've
Mitchell
been
still
doing
got
that,
80
though.
yards.
Yeah,
They've
but-
been doing
But
that.
that's the thing, and
Mhm.
okay, so this will support your point, Bradley. The good thing, the thing they do well that we don't, is they scheme well for their players, and so they've schemed for. If what you're saying is right, Brock Purdy's not the quarterback we're all making him out to be, then they've schemed very well because he comes out looking like a star. Because they know how to dump off the short pass, they know how to find the short guy, they know how to run the ball. All those things that just make it easier, make the job easier for a quarterback that we
Yeah.
haven't done all year.
They've got incredible weapons too.
Absolutely. They almost everybody on that team, we were talking about it. Tico and Eddie and I all watched it together, and it's like, like who do you go to? It's like you can't say, well, everybody zero in on McCaffrey, because he's gonna. Well, then they'll dump it off to Kittle, or they're dump it off to who's the receiver.
Ayuk, Debo.
I
Ayuk,
Ayuk
Brandon
or
Ayuk,
Debo Samuel. You know, it's like just everywhere you turn, it's like, well, that guy's a stud. Well,
And
that
then,
guy's a killer. You know,
yeah, CMC gets hurt and they put Elijah Mitchell in and he looks like CMC.
and he looked amazing.
2.0.
Yeah,
He looked
right.
like,
yeah.
didn't he look like 2.0?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Tico called him McCaffrey
He look-
2.0.
You know, like the chocolate. He was the chocolate McCaffrey going on,
He's
No,
raring to go though.
and he got
Big
80
time.
yards on us. This dude got 80 yards, man, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
We had
Man.
no
But you know
clue
what?
what-
They really didn't kill us.
No.
They didn't have to, because we only scored in one quarter. That was the second
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah.
We didn't
And-
score in the first. We didn't score in the third. We didn't score in the fourth.
So it
We
says
didn't
something
score in the
for our
second half
defense.
at all.
And as happy as I was in the first half that like, oh, hey, we're hanging in there. This is respectable. I never for a moment thought we're going to pull out a win.
No.
Like it just didn't even cross my mind that
No.
San Francisco's not going to dominate.
But
the
I
second
will
half.
say, here's what I will say. I will say this. It was interesting. You know, the Jets game comes to mind because even in the first quarter, Tico, when we had the ball, it was like we got some stuff going. You know, maybe there was a 3 and out. You know, they were bringing pressure. I mean, Sam Howell was like getting swallowed every time I saw him. It was like he was like swallowed in this pocket, like he was like, and then he would get it out, and it was like, golly, like he was just like I couldn't even see him sometimes. But I will say that the line held up against an amazing Niners defense. Sam Howell got the ball out of his hands, but
You call that held up?
I mean, he was swallowed,
He was in that cup.
but
He was in that little-
how many
Look,
sacks did
popped
they
his
get?
little head out.
Yeah. You know,
Boop.
but why I brought up the Jets game is the Jets game was so atrocious for the first 15 plays. Drop passes, tipped interceptions, stuff like that. That when we didn't have that happen, it felt
It made it look better than it.
we got in a little bit of a groove where Sam got his thing going, and then it fell apart when a lot of mistakes happened. And it was just like you saw a little glimpse of what we were seeing 10
Mhm.
weeks ago, you know.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
You know, the second quarter we did come out. First drive, scored a field goal. Second drive, scored a TD.
long
yeah.
pass to Terry. Nice
And
big
that's all
burst
they
play.
wrote.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was
That's
good.
all she wrote.
Yeah.
Something
That's
killed
all
the,
she
something
wrote.
killed the
Right there.
momentum. What was it? There was something that happened right after that made.
I think
I've
San
never even-
Francisco said, "Oh, these
I've-
guys are going to try to play.
Oh,
Let's
they-
shut this down right now."
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys.
I
wanna-
never
It's
felt
hard to be
momentum.
positive with this team, man. You know,
I never felt
I don't
momentum.
want to be so negative, man. But
Who-
it's
Who wants
hard,
to score
man.
this time? Who
Okay.
wants to score? You, McCaffrey.
Okay. okay.
McCaffrey never scored.
Yeah,
But
McCaffrey never scored, right? Because
I was
he
playing
went
against
out.
him
Yeah.
in fantasy, and
Ah,
one of the reasons I won that game.
I do
nice.
think we held pretty well defensively in the red zone.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's
That was
true.
surprising,
Oh, that's right,
too.
right. The
That's true,
first,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
first drive,
there's a
they-
good
we held
highlight,
them
Eddie.
to a-
You know, because we said they didn't score much on it. It was for things like that. You know,
Yeah.
instead of putting 7. Next thing you know, you're down 21.
I thought Emmanuel Forbes had a decent game. There was one play he got beat, and this is why I'm not hating on Brock Purdy as a quarterback. I'm hating on him being the MVP favorite because
Right.
Emmanuel Forbes was in Brandon Ayuk's pocket. It was great defense. Brock Purdy put the pass in the
It was a dime.
absolute perfect position where nobody could get it except for Ayuk. And even Ayuk had a fingertips hit. And it was one of the best pass and catches I've ever seen. And
It was Purdy.
it was Purdy, and Emmanuel Forbes was great
right
defense.
there.
It was
It
great
really
defense.
was.
He couldn't do anything about that.
Wait a
I mean,
minute, which one are you talking about? Which player are you talking
I
about?
think was it a touchdown pass? I think it was a touchdown
No,
pass.
it wasn't.
No, on the touchdown pass, he was wide open.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like they were
Well, I
covering
thought-
him, and then all of a sudden they said, "Okay, I did a pretty good job so far," and they left him wide open.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that.
Here's what I'll say. In the last couple games, I'm seeing splashes from Jatavius Martin. He had a big hit on Kittle in this game that jarred the ball loose,
Mhm.
upended him. So that, in the last 5 games, I've seen some splashes from him, some sparks. I'm excited for him in the future. Emmanuel Forbes looked good in this game. I know his confidence has been shattered all season long. I hate how the coaching staff dealt with him. But
You on Slim Fast or something? The guy's like 12 pounds. What's
I know.
pick up the friggin' steak?
He's always been thin. They need to.
ask
Yeah.
me
Him
how much does he weigh?
I'm gonna say he weighs 165 pounds.
And it's pretty close. He's 175.
175.
5
Yeah.
pounds more muscular than me.
Anyway, I thought he had a pretty good game. So I'm excited about those two in the future.
I
Right.
think there
That's-
came a
that's
point
great
in
news.
the at the end of the second quarter, in the third quarter, where Howell threw our series in the third quarter were punt, interception, interception, punt. That's the whole second half, but
Yeah.
that's the whole second half.
Well, that
And
sounds. That felt like
and
the whole
lost the
second half
ball
right
on
there.
downs. So punt, interception, punt, loss the downs. That's sad, man. That is
Yeah,
really
no,
sad.
It was a pathetic. You know what? I'm as far as I'm concerned, that's a good recap for the game. I don't
That's a
need to
good-
talk about the
that-
game
I was
anymore.
about to say, I'm done.
I was gonna say,
Good.
Field
if we're
goal,
looking to the
touchdown,
future,
end of half.
what I would say is, okay, well then, where did that put us in the
Quarterback
in the
position.
draft in the draft derby?
Well, you
and-
guys
and-
got your wish. You guys wanted tanking at the end. You got it. It's
You know what?
all it's all
You know what,
yours.
Tico? We
It's
moved
all
up a
yours.
slot in the draft derby
Yeah,
too.
we did.
We're number 2 pick right now.
Yeah.
If we
But see,
continue
this is
way.
the thing. Do you guys have more? See, for me, I hate Dallas so much that I would
All right.
much rather see them win and forfeit one of those little spots just for the glory of keeping them. Just there is something that's we can keep them from,
Right.
right? A home field
Yes.
advantage.
It would be winning. It would be winning the division.
Winning the division, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Um,
Eddie, I want to ask.
Not
you-
going to happen though yet.
I want
So-
to ask you. Do you know how many spots we would move up? Because we're at 2 right now. Do you know how many spots we would move up if we won this game?
I have a feeling you do.
I
don't.
actually don't. But
It's not an exact
can,
science. It's,
I
I mean,
would
I
think
guess it
they
is for
move up.
somebody, but
I think it's like a 3 and a 4.
No, it's way more than that. We would go from 2 to like
8, 9.
depending. Yeah, it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, which is
Is
very
that just because
significant.
of one more win?
Yes.
Mhm.
There's a lot of 5-win teams right now. There's a lot of 5-win teams. There's not a lot of 4-win teams.
But
There's
I'm just saying
3.
it, that makes the reason for saying, okay, yeah, let's just tank.
I'm
But
just saying, no, I'm just saying, you got to think about what you want, right? We hate the Cowboys. We want to beat the Cowboys. Is it worth moving up 7,
yeah,
7 spots, 6 spots? Tico
I mean,
saying,
it's a meaningless game, but I get Eddie's point. It's not meaningless from an emotional perspective.
Right.
When you spend your whole life hating the
same
Cowboys,
reason like
it's hard to call
when
that
Sam
meaningless.
won last year. How did that feel?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Pretty damn good.
We were like, hey man, Sam looked good.
Well, he
Yeah.
did because he was
Yeah.
going against.
And
the
we went into
Bucks.
this season with
Hope.
remember in the beginning of the season how good we felt?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then where did that get us?
Yeah, it's true.
Bradley, last week you teased you had some
Yeah.
potentialities or something.
So
right? You
yeah, so
still
I do
that?
have, I do, and it's actually changed a lot
Oh.
with one spot in the draft.
See
It
there?
really has, because at this point, the Bears have the first pick in the draft. Now, do they need a quarterback?
That's a big question for the
That's a
Bears.
big
I would say
question.
no.
I would say
That's-
no too.
Yeah.
I
don't
would say
think
no.
they're
He's
gonna
come
pick a
too
quarterback.
far.
Yep.
He's come too
So,
far.
so Tico, do they stay at 1 and pick Marvin Harrison Jr.? Do they stay at 1? And that's the big question, right? Is do they stay at
Marvin
do they-
Harrison Jr., wide receiver, right?
wide
For
receiver? Yeah,
They
I can't
they
remember.
definitely get
I don't
somebody like
understand.
that.
So or do they
Go ahead,
move
Big.
back
Sorry.
is what they did the last time and and acquire way more draft capital. They could move with the Patriots, they could move with the Giants
they trade that
and
spot.
take Caleb Williams. So there's a lot of there's a lot of variables now, but I wanted to ask you guys some questions. I had 4 scenarios, but really it's 3 of them.
Mhm.
And I wanted to see what you guys think we should do. And obviously this is way different because we don't even know what the coaching situation will look like. We don't know what the general manager situation, but just from a fan perspective,
Pure conjecture
Yeah.
here.
So option A is move up, or because now we're in the 2 spot, is wait to see what is taken at number 1 and take Caleb Williams. Okay. So it's taking Caleb Williams is option 1. It won't, if we have to move to 1, it won't take that much or that as much draft capital as it would have moving from 3, but it will
Right.
take the draft capital to move up. So get Caleb Williams and then use the rest of our draft capital, which won't be as much as we do now, to build around him. That's option 1. Option 2 is stay at number 2 now and take whatever quarterback is next, because at number 1, Caleb Williams will be taken. I'm just telling you that right now.
So number 2 will be, that's the guy from North Carolina, probably, right? What's his?
Drake May,
Drake May?
or
The guy from
the
Washington? Is the guy from Washington available?
Yes, he
Yeah.
will be, but he's more of a second round guy. I think the top 3 guys are Caleb Williams, Drake May, and the guy from LSU. I forget his name. He just won the Heisman.
Wait a minute though. Didn't
that's-
Washington kick USC's butt?
Yeah, they did.
So
Yeah,
why are you saying he's a second round guy?
That's just where he's projected.
By who?
Michael Penix Jr. by draft analysts.
Those guys.
Those guys. I mean, they never get
You-
it
you
completely right, but they,
you can project him differently in your draft projection, Tico.
Yeah.
That's what
You
we should
know
do
what
next
the
week.
thing about it is
Top 5 draft.
remember
projection.
we've had some top picks. We had RG3.
Yep.
We got
Yeah.
almost a year out
Traded
of him.
up for number 2.
And before we ruined him, we got we
RG,
had Dwayne
RG3's
Haskins.
calling Oregon State football games now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We had Dwayne Haskins and
RIP.
RIP on that one.
RIP, Yep.
That's a heavy one.
That was
Yep.
just crazy.
You
Mhm.
know, I'm not as excited about drafts as a lot of people are because it's a roll of the dice. We had Chase Young. He gets hurt at the end of his
I-
1st
I'm-
season.
I'll tell you what draft picks give us. Even if it doesn't pan out, it gives us capital to attract a head coach.
Yeah,
I
and
think-
leverage,
I
too.
think that you guys are like, what do you think builds football teams then? Is it not the draft? That's
Sometimes
what builds a
not
football
no.
team.
What you got free? Some of your best players come through free
I
agency.
am going to hard disagree with you because
Okay.
look at the Rams, right? They go and they win a Super Bowl, and then what? They're like they were terrible last year. They're middle of the road this year. Like they spent everything to go win a Super Bowl. Great. Fantastic. Now they're in shambles. Their cap situation is fucked. They have all of the players that they got,
Yeah.
OBJ, Von Miller, all that, destroyed their cap and then left. So
And
I mean-
even Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey, exactly.
yeah.
So you can go get high star, and I'm not saying that the free agent isn't what you want to.
But they got a Super Bowl,
They
Bradley.
did, and we haven't had one in 30 years.
Thank you.
So, but look at what the Chiefs did.
And-
They went and they made amazing drafts. Same with the Eagles. They've had fantastic drafts, and look what it's got them. They've also done very well in free agency.
They have,
They've also
It's a
done very well.
combination. I think it's a
full
combination.
which
But
is
It's a
why
combo.
But
GM.
building a roster is about the draft. A full roster, not going and getting your 3 all-star players. That may happen in free agency. Building a full roster, the second string guys, the guys that come in off the bench when dudes are hurt. You don't go and get that in free agency. You really don't. I mean, you can help bolster the bottom end of your roster, but the young guys that you develop in-house, that you put your hands on and you say, pause, and you mold those dudes again, pause. But those are the
I don't
dudes
know if the older guys know what you mean when you say pause, Bradley.
I'm saying something, you know.
School him, Bradley,
You
school him.
grab a dude, and you
Pause.
mold him. Pause.
Pause.
If you kept, you know, what I'm saying.
I
Pause.
am-
Is that politically incorrect with the LBGTQ?
Is it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't.
don't
I'm
know.
lost.
You guys
Don't
got
worry
me
about it.
lost.
I'm wondering if
So-
you want me to hit the pause button. That's what I was thought you
No,
were saying.
no. They used to. They
I
used to
just went
say.
off the rail.
No,
I
I'm
think
not
it-
even gonna say
is
what
it-
they used to say.
I don't know.
I'm
It's
gonna
fun-
punt. I'm gonna punt on this one.
Eddie
So
just-
anytime something sexual gets said,
Yes. Yeah. It's sexual. Yeah.
you know, if I say, yeah, I grabbed his tush. Pause.
Oh, that.
Yeah, but
Pause.
it's more of like a you could take it a certain way, but I'm not saying it like that. You
ah,
know, right?
okay.
Pause.
I'm gonna clarify it
I'm
in
a,
the,
yeah, yeah.
Well,
as
well,
I'm
look
I'm
up.
moving through
saying
the
I'm
sentence.
saying something, but this is what I'm really saying. Pause. You know, you pick a dude and you grab him and you mold him. Pause. Because what I'm talking about is building a football team. Not
Gotcha.
Well, Bradley, you know
You
what?
know.
I think we've had
We've-
some
we're-
over the years because we've had such bad records.
yeah.
We've had some good draft choices.
And we've had terrible people in charge. Bruce Allen, you're telling me that's the guy that you're trusting to build a football team with, and that's your basis though, Tico. Is you're thinking we've had some good draft picks. Yeah, but Bruce Allen was picking, Marty Herney was picking. Those dudes are not gonna be in charge of our football team anymore. You're telling me that if the Eagles GM, now I can't think of his name, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. If some of these GMs that are building rosters wasn't on our organization, you wouldn't feel good about having the second overall pick?
I mean, you know, of course, you want to have the earliest picks that you can, but I think
Right.
it's a little bit overrated because the pool of number one, the pool of talent coming out of college right now it's a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I watched the Pac-12 this year because of Dion, and every team had a really nice quarterback in the Pac-12. And outside of that, and you know, SEC and all that, there's some good players. Like going back to Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Where did he get picked? And he may take this team to the Super Bowl.
But here's what I'm saying, Tico, is the year before Brock Purdy was picked,
Mhm.
San Francisco had the second overall pick and they took Nick Bosa. The Bengals first overall pick.
Also, stay
Joe
with San
Burrow
Francisco.
went to the
Who
Super
else
Bowl.
did? Who else?
I'm
Did,
just saying
who else did San Francisco pick at quarterback?
Trey
Lance,
Lance.
and he got hurt the
And
first game.
it was one of the worst picks of all time. They got
Well,
lucky with Brock Purdy.
I don't know if it was the worst pick because he got hurt the first game.
It is widely regarded to
great.
be one of the worst because they traded up to go get Trey Lance. It's widely regarded.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
biggest
saying.
fumble
You
of all
never,
time.
you never know what life is going to throw at you. You could pick a Trey Lance who was great in college. You know, Jalen Hurts. Let's remember, Jalen Hurts didn't start out the way he is now.
Yeah,
that first couple of years, it was rocky. You know,
Everything
Brock
has
Purdy
to
has started
align.
out like,
All the moons
fireballs.
and the sun and the rotation of the earth, they all have to align.
Everything has to align.
Everything in Washington's been misaligned. So
It's been misaligned.
I mean,
I agree.
all the players in the world are going to mean a lot. Like you got to have all the key players. If you don't have the stars, you don't really have anything. But that we talked about that glue for years being the coaching thing. And I know you guys are going to work into the coaching choices that are coming up later in the show or pretty soon, right? I mean, there's only probably a handful of guys.
Yeah.
We would really consider strong candidates. We want a young guy.
Yeah.
And want them to come in, and they may have a type of quarterback in mind, or they may have a defensive scheme that they want to run with that's more important than our offensive lines. You don't know what focus they're going to take. All of them should be taken, but I feel like right now we're going to be one of those teams that has all the money capital. We have all the potential play. We got a great incentive for these kids to want to come to Washington for the first time. Like, you guys were talking about the first round draft pick, the quarterback, Caleb. I'm going, can you imagine that kid? He gets picked by Washington. He's just going, you know what I mean? You think they're saying that? You don't
Top
want
players go to the bad teams.
Yeah,
Unless unless one of the better teams.
and if he gets picked by a team that has a brand new head coach and a brand new system, I don't know that that's
Do you see
necessarily a
how
bad thing. You get to be
pumped
part
up
of the
CJ
building.
Stroud is, though?
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
CJ Stroud is
worked out well.
elated, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He's worked
pumped
out.
to
He's
be
worked out.
in
But you know what?
Houston.
When he signed up, it probably wasn't an exciting
No,
thing.
but
Because the Texans haven't been, they've had a lot of
you guys,
trouble, man.
when a football player gets drafted, I think it's like the most exciting day in his life. They just want to play in the NFL.
And also,
they,
sorry, Dad. Yeah, go on.
And they also want to be a part of making a difference.
Yeah.
It's like,
you remember
it's
Eli
like
Manning,
if you can go to the
Eli
Texans and turn them
Manning
around,
did.
or go to the Commanders and turn them around. That's huge for an athlete to look at.
And there's Houston, Texas isn't a bad place to go. Bryce Young going to Carolina versus Houston, Texas is like, DC is not a bad place to go.
Yeah.
You could be in Minnesota in the dang cold.
That's
you could
right.
be in
Green Bay.
Green Bay. You could be in Arizona.
You're thinking of places to live. Yeah, right.
So, I think we've talked a lot about the draft, and I think all four of us are on different pages, not different pages. We just have differing opinions.
Here's the one thing, because I do think it's a combination of a lot of things, the draft and the free agency and all. And you can obviously point out high draft picks that didn't work, that ended up being a bust, low draft picks that ended up being great, Tom Brady, blah, 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 but if you were to, and I don't have them here in front of me, but if you were to look at the analytics, I think they would tell you higher draft picks tend to do better. As you go down the roll call of the draft, if you analyze those things, those are the players that are going to do better. The ones that are higher, the ones that are lower don't, and then you have your outliers. That always happens, that's anything. But anyway, you're right. We should move on. I mean,
we should.
Eddie brought up head coaches. I don't know if we want to slide into that. Are we going into
talk about it?
Because I was, if you don't mind, I'll start off. I listened to a guy named Josh Taylor, JTFB, today. I don't know if anybody listens to his podcast, but he listed his top 5, and I just wanted to throw the names out there. If you don't know the names, don't worry about it. But it's these are names I think for everybody to kind of keep in their head. Because this stuff he made this point. It's going to happen quickly. It's not like the draft. We got to wait for the draft. Head coach.
It's got to happen quick.
It's gonna, some of these teams are going into the playoffs. 2
weeks away, yeah.
It's going to be a Black Monday.
Ron Rivera, January 8th is gone, right? I mean, they're not going to waste any time with that. And supposedly, I think the coaches aren't supposed to talk to anybody if they're still in the playoffs, but that's bullshit. That happened, that people have their conversations. So I think the name that seems to be coming up on everyone's list, top of everyone's list, is Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions. I hear that name a lot. Obviously, he's done some great things with the Giants. Did I say Giants? With the Lions?
No, you said it right.
I said it right the first time. Okay. Offensive coordinator for the Lions. They are doing a lot of good things this year. Yeah, you can point to games where they kind of screwed things up, and not everyone's going to be perfect, but he's done some really, really great things. And he's young. Oh, 37 years old. Yeah. What was 37? I didn't know what you were saying. 37 years old, young guy. Yes, exactly. I think everybody, well, no, not everybody. But the next guy is Mike Macdonald, defensive coordinator for the Ravens. Now, I typically kind of go, I kind of like the offensive minded guys, but doesn't mean defensive minded guys haven't been successful in the past. And there's somebody.
That defense is nasty.
And that and Baltimore's defense has been great for a while. And Mike Macdonald's been with them since like 2015 or something. I think he took one little break and went to college, did some college coaching. But there's also somebody who would be a good candidate apparently for GM at Baltimore.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I've heard people say, well, Let's take them both. It's a good combo, and they don't have to move far. They're in Baltimore. They could probably keep their homes, you know. So, now the next one on his list, I don't like personally, but I know I've heard other people bring it up. Jim Harbaugh,
Yeah.
Michigan head
not
coach.
good.
You know, he's going into the finals in Michigan. He's clearly a talented coach. He builds winning teams.
He's got
I
some
don't
red
like.
flags though.
He's got some red flags. There's been some controversy,
Didn't he
especially
just
this year.
cheat? Like really?
He cheats, and I don't like his attitude overall. I always feel like he's kind of a bullet. And you know, it's weird because the two Harbaugh brothers seem like they coach completely differently. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like, is it John who coaches the Ravens? John
Mhm.
Harbaugh.
Jim's always
He-
been like kind of a
He like
stick in
gets his
the mud.
team motivated and up and
Yeah, but
pumped.
John is also a crybaby as well. Like he is a
Yeah.
I mean, like I look, both of those coaches are incredibly talented.
Yes, they
and-
are. Yes, they
and
are.
we would be lucky to have either of them. But
you're right.
they're both very dramatic, but that's what we want, right? We don't want this.
Passion. We want passion. Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's-
Look,
Where's
like
John
everything.
Madden when we need him?
if Jim Harbaugh winds up in, you know, as the head coach, I'll be pulling for
But
him. But
imagine the two brothers in the DC area.
yeah,
like,
right,
in the
right,
DMV, that would be-
right down the
Yeah.
parkway from each other.
Woo,
I mean,
that would be
basically playing
fun.
in the same state.
Yeah.
Remember
Um,
they played in the Super Bowl together
They
against each
did.
other.
I know.
We
It's
already
crazy.
have a problem
San
with
Francisco
two
and Baltimore.
brothers
I forgot
brothers
Jim, yeah.
coaching in our leagues that were brothers. You had a guy, the Raiders. Who was
Oh, the
the two
Grudens, Jay
Gruden
and
brothers?
John.
How'd that work out for us?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I
One of
still
them
see
got in
Jay
trouble, the other
Jay
one
Gruden
sucked.
every now and again will tweet something out.
Who's the fifth?
All right, number 4. I'm only on 4. Don't rush me. No, I'm good. Number 4 is Frank Smith for the
Smith, yeah.
Dolphins offensive coordinator.
Mm.
Also clearly done well. And number 5, we kind of hinted at it earlier. Bobby Slovic, Texans offensive coordinator. You look at
Yeah.
what they're doing and what CJ Stroud is doing, and obviously CJ Stroud is an amazing talent, but you got to have somebody scheming that stuff up, you know.
Yeah.
And so
I really
Um,
like the Miami and the Lions because I think Bobby Slavic,
Slovic, I don't know.
he it's like, you know, it's kind of his first year with this,
Mm.
or you know, I like he's almost too young.
New,
for
too
me.
green. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
too green, and although I'm sure he's a very talented offensive coordinator, I don't know much about him. He was kind of given this gift of CJ Stroud. Like no one
He-
thought that he was going to be as good as he is. I mean, or else he would be taken number
True.
1. You
True
know,
that.
he is better than anybody could have imagined. And what I'll say with the other two, Miami's guy and Ben Johnson,
Lions, Ben Johnson.
is they were both given a quarterback who have flaws. I
Mm.
mean, nobody can deny that Tua is phenomenal, but he has flaws. Jared Goff is great, has a ton of flaws.
Definitely has flaws.
But
Yeah.
those two offensive coordinators, and they both have great head coaches to go along with it. And Ben Johnson has a defensive guy. Mike
Yeah.
Daniel is an offensive guy. So
That's my only concern about the
Yeah.
Dolphins is Mike McDaniel really running
Yeah.
that offense. I don't
Yeah.
want another Eric Bieniemy
yeah,
who like, oh God, he coached him into the Super Bowl, but really, who was running the offense for the Chiefs? You know, I now start to question that. You know, and
Yeah.
so,
but those guys worked with the quarterback that they had very well. So that's what I'll say about those two. That's what
okay.
that's what I see, and I go, wow, I wish we had that in Washington.
Yeah.
Got a chance for it.
Yeah. So I think we can attract a strong head coach and you know, we as we talked
Yeah.
about draft
We
capital
have one of the highest salary caps, don't we? I
and
mean,
salary caps. And even the new ownership team, you know,
Yes.
the fact that they've proven themselves in other
Magic
sports, I
Johnson,
think,
yep.
you know, that's a and as Bradley says, DC ain't the worst place. It might not be Southern California, but I guess people
Not
have hinted
New
at
York,
that
but-
Jim Harbaugh might wind up at San Diego. I almost said Los Angeles Chargers. And that would be I'd kind of rather see him take that job than the Commander's job.
Okay, so the other kind of good thing that happened from the Commanders loss is that the Eagles
Mm.
losing also meant that the Niners got the first round bye. They clinched the number 1 in the playoffs, which I'm not a huge Niners guy. They're fine. I have no beef with Niners fans. I have no allegiance. I have no beef, but I'd much rather see them get a bye than the dang stinking
Philadelphia Eagles.
Dirty town, dirty people, dirty, gross, hate Philly. Just kidding. Philly's great. Love Philly, but hate the Eagles.
Well,
yeah, I was gonna say put that politically correct filter over that if you can.
Yeah, no, I'm playing. I actually we were talking about going to Maryland, and I was like, let's make a 3-hour trip to Philly because I love that city. But hate the team. And sports is funny because we like have such passion for it. It's like, I hate the Eagles.
Yeah,
but I love the city.
You wind up associating
people, you know
things.
what I mean? Yeah.
Anytime somebody says they're from Dallas, my head
Yeah,
immediately goes, "Oh, fuck, Cowboy fan." Yeah.
Right,
I'm an Eagles
right.
fan. I'm like, I'm not gonna be friends with you, but
Right.
like, who cares? You know, it's fun to have competition like that.
Well, while we're on the NFC East, and we already mentioned the Lions, so Dallas and Detroit had an interesting game that ended in an interesting way. And I didn't get a chance to see it. I missed that whole game, and these guys told me about it.
You
And of
have
course,
to recap. You have to go look at the fast.
It was
Oh
a
my
great
God.
game, yeah.
I've seen the
They-
replays now, and I've heard. I mean, look, when you have Troy Aikman saying, the tape doesn't
Yeah.
show
Doesn't
what happened.
justify-
You know, he doesn't justify what happened. You know, and he's rooting for Dallas the whole time. So,
well, I
yeah,
don't know
this
about that. I don't
was
know
called
about
Zebra
that
on it.
because when Troy left Dallas, it wasn't necessarily on good terms. I found out, but anyway,
Really,
sidebar.
I didn't
Well,
know
Well,
that.
he was on the field at halftime, looking pretty happy to be
Yeah.
ushering in Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah,
In a
but
nice
you know,
cowboy.
30, 25 years ago, you know,
Yeah.
when you're trying to find another team, you're in free
Yeah.
agency, and nobody picks you up, and you end up having to retire.
Mm, I think he's done okay for himself.
Yeah, he's done okay for himself. Things change. Things change. Let's go to our commandments. So are we
Sure.
we done with coaching?
Wait, I can't pass it up. I got one more commanding attention. I mean,
Okay.
we've been doing kind of commanding attention, right? This
Oh, I got you.
because I said it last week. Maryland was
U
in a
of
bowl
M.
game.
U of M.
Maryland Terrapins, Fear the Turtle, won their bowl game. Now listen, it's not, I mean, fantastic. It's the first time ever Maryland has won bowl games in 3 consecutive years. That's huge.
What?
And so I got give it up for Mike Loxley. He's the head coach there, and he's been head coach for, I'm going to say 4 years. I'm not counting the pandemic year. The year 2020 was like a half a year. They didn't play all their games and stuff. But you know, so in his first year he struggled. But then the three previous years here, taking them to bowl games and won every one of them. You know, they're in the Big Ten now. You know, so they can beat most of those teams, but you got Ohio State, you got Michigan, and you got Penn State, and that's like, it's different level stuff. They always struggle against those 3 teams. And now next year, I think USC is going to be in the Big Ten, or a bunch of teams from the Pac West.
What's happening with all
10.
this movement, with all of this?
It's
Pac-12
all a money.
is going away.
It's all a money
no
grab.
more Pac-12.
Apparently,
right?
there's going to be no more Pac-12. Yeah.
It's crazy.
gonna be
Why
the
don't they
Big
just
12
make
or
it?
something.
Yeah, they just
And the Big Ten has like 20 some teams in it or something. It's crazy.
Now I don't feel bad that I don't
College is so
follow
dumb.
college
yeah.
that much.
College
You
is
guys
so
lost
dumb.
me on Terrapins.
Anyway.
But I actually, we have
kudos
one
to the
more
Terrapins.
commanding attention thing that I actually do want to hear about.
Okay.
Because the Commanders aren't going to be in the playoffs.
Yes.
So who are we
Or
rooting
not?
Who we rooting? Oh, Eddie, I hate to break this to you, Eddie. you thought if we could pull out the last game that maybe we'd squeak in or something.
So I want to hear.
Baltimore.
Okay.
Baltimore.
Hard not to root for
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah. I'm
I-
definitely rooting for Baltimore as one of my teams. I don't really have an NFC team that I'm.
Oh, I do.
Who?
The Lions. I'm rooting for the Lions.
No.
I was, I wanted them to beat the Cowboys.
I
did.
certainly wanted them to beat the Cowboys, but I like to root for the underdog. And the Lions have never won a Super
Look,
Bowl.
if
And
it
there aren't
comes
many teams
down to
left.
Dallas coming down,
Not
to
only did they not win a
championship
Super
game,
Bowl,
I just want Dallas to lose to whomever beats
Yeah.
them
Well,
for the NFC
yeah.
championship.
Well, it's funny because because one of my best friends is a Lions fan.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends who have had teams. You know, one of my best friends is a Dolphins fan. One of my best friends is a Bills fan. And all of us have been like, Bills were terrible, Lions were terrible, Miami was terrible, Commanders were terrible. You know, like 5 years ago, we were all just bad, and it was so much fun just being terrible together. And one of my friends is a Cleveland fan. We were all terrible together. And then
Misery loves company.
and then everybody has been
They've all turned around.
rising. And so I kind of
And we're like,
I you know, one of my teams I'm rooting for is the Dolphins because you know, Hard Knocks is awesome. I actually love to Mike McDaniel's fantastic. That's my AFC team as well as Baltimore. But it doesn't feel good. Like I don't want to root for the Lions. I'm like, fuck them. They were bad when we were bad. They should still be bad. But you know, it's a lot of jealousy.
Lions have been bad longer than we have, if you can believe that.
I know.
And that's
Oh,
hard to
yeah.
believe.
And I'm rooting for
Yeah.
the Lions. I'm rooting for the Lions. I'm rooting for all my friends' teams to do well.
Yeah.
But
we
it
just
is
keep
tough.
going.
Shout out
down,
Tom.
down,
Tom deserves it. It's been
He does.
bad.
And
He's
I
been
and I
bad.
have a good friend who's a Lions fan. I feel like
Yeah.
everybody has a good friend who's a
Yeah.
Lions fan,
Yeah.
and you've watched him lose all those close, games. And, it's just,
Yeah. Shout
Anyway,
out
you got
JR
anyone who you rooting for, Eddie? Who you
Who am I
pulling for in the
rooting
play?
for?
Yeah.
In the NFC or the Super Bowl?
Either way.
In the playoffs in general.
I tend to. It's hard. I mean, I don't want Dallas to be there just
Yeah.
for obvious reasons. But if I say an
with
NFC
Philly.
team that I'd like to see there, I never really disliked San Francisco. I like the team. I like the way they run their organization.
Yeah.
They've always had great quarterbacks that just come up and surprise you. Just Montana and there's something
Yeah.
about it. It's just like a flashy city.
Yeah.
And it's still
It's-
California, so I'm not a Ram guy. I don't think they have a chance. Maybe they could, but I don't really care about the Rams all that much. I just after going to the game, the Ram house was kind of pissing me off. But no offense, Lee, but
I'll root for the Rams, but I don't think they're going to do much. But I like.
no,
to
but
see
I'm
the
saying
Rams
like
win,
if
yeah.
I had to pick an NFC team, I think I wouldn't mind San Francisco beating up on somebody, but I don't think they're going to beat up on
Dallas, Philly.
your Baltimore Ravens. I think Baltimore is the team to beat. I just think that's
Yeah.
where it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if it's San Francisco against them, great. But actually, if Dallas gets in
That's
the
a
Super
repeat.
Bowl and they get beaten by the Ravens, that would be even better. To lose there, like
Yeah, I don't want to see him
I
get
don't
there.
wanna
The
get there. I
the
don't
soonest
wanna
that
get-
Dallas and Philly can get eliminated, the more I can relax and watch the playoffs at that point.
at least
All
the
right.
Giants aren't
Okay.
going.
Let's do it, Tico. You
All
wanna
right.
introduce it? Our 4 commandments.
4 commandments. I'm going to say, I want to see them use Terry, throw it to him at least 9 to 11 times.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's good.
Thou shalt throw to Terry McLaurin
9 to 11 times.
9 to 11 times
Very
in this
specific
game.
commandment. It's supposed to be broad based.
I love it. No, it's great.
There's no supposed to. It is what it is. Sometimes we're
Alright.
specific. Sometimes
Mine's-
mine's broad. I'll
Mine's
do a
been
broad
wild,
one.
Yeah.
Broadway.
Maybe I'm repeating myself. Play a respectable game. I just want to see respect. Like I said, the first half of last game. Like, okay, this is respectable. I don't think we're going to win it, but it's respectable. If you could play 2 halves like that, I'd be happy.
Ooh, all right. Well, let me see if I can think of mine.
I have two. So I'll
Go ahead.
I'll-
Then you
I'll
go ahead.
Go
I'll
ahead.
take a moment here.
So I have a serious one and a funny one. What do you want to hear first? No.
Seriously
serious.
funny one.
Okay, serious. I'll do the serious one.
Serious then.
Let's get a turnover. It's been a couple games since we've gotten a turnover. I want
Yeah.
to see a turnover. I just want to see one, and I want to see people celebrating, and I want to see someone do a nice interception. It's cool and stuff, or like a really good catch, like maybe a one-hander. I want to
yeah.
see something spectacular.
Yeah.
Just one,
yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
So
So you're saying
touchdown-
basically thou shalt have dazzling plays.
Yes.
Like from everyone.
All right.
And
All
that's what I
right.
was gonna
Good
do.
pickup.
It's like,
Good
I wanna
pickup,
see-
Eddie.
Son?
Thanks, Bradley.
Yeah.
All right. What you want to
Mine
do?
was-
You do yours, Eddie, and then we'll hear Bradley's second one.
Mine was just basically thou shalt command some respect from everyone in the organization. Just play your game so that you can command some respect. Like just don't embarrass yourselves on national television for the last game. Just be in the game and then lose gratefully, you know?
Oh
Sure.
man. Okay.
All right, wait, what else you got,
Be in
Bradley?
it.
It was just let's just fire on Rivera on Monday, please.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Let's get the
Okay.
let's get like I hate to be negative. I know, Tico. I know.
No, I mean it's hard, man. Come on.
I hate to be negative, but like I
I'm
want to
struggling, man. I'm struggling.
I
man.
know. I want to just move forward. Move
That's
forward
it.
Okay.
into
Well, let's
2021.
take this show on home
Then let's
so we
get it
don't
out
kill
of
the
here.
people,
Let's
man.
let's just remind we got one more episode next week. Next week what we'll do, maybe we'll like take a look at the playoffs. We'll all give our picks for the Super Bowl and who the winner is and stuff like that. You know, it'll be our playoff preview because
Yeah.
nothing to preview for the Commanders until
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna do one more episode for this season. Then we might jump on sometime in
special episode.
Couple special episodes in the off season. We'll talk about
Maybe during the Super Bowl
People will be waiting
Super
with
Bowl
bated
or
breath.
playoffs.
playoffs, or if there's a big move that we make, and then
Head
we'll
coach.
also do a draft after the draft, and then next season. So
There you go.
All right.
we'll
It'll
talk
be
more
here.
about that
It'll
next
be
time.
here in 2 seconds too.
Yep.
Right.
You want to
So-
close us out, Bradley?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's a wrap for this episode of Command West. We hope you had just as much fun listening as we did, bringing you the latest and the greatest from the Burgundy and Gold. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, check us out on Instagram, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Happy New Year, everyone.
See ya.
Think to that.
Peace.